Hey everybody, this is AI Double Take. I'm Tom Martin, CEO and founder of LawDroid, and here with our chief legal futurist, Satish Nori. How you doing, Satish?
Hey Tom, great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. So there's a lot to talk about. We're doing this monthly now, and we're looking back on the past month, and there have been so many different developments for us to talk about. Where do you want to start?
Well, the biggest thing that's hit my inbox this month has been this Citrini research memo, and it's a little outfit I've never heard of. I guess they're an economic research consulting company, and they wrote this report predicting that by 2028, that AI is going to cause this huge collapse in our economy, starting with the software industry. And once software goes, other SaaS products and industries will go. That'll cause a mortgage crisis because all these white collar workers, unemployed, will not be able to pay their mortgages. That'll cause a financial crisis. And then we'll be in this kind of depression
Mm,
because a huge percentage of our workforce will be unemployed and our economy will take this huge hit. And it's a kind of scenario that may indeed come to pass. And many of us have been talking about AI's impact on the legal market for a long time. Like what's going to happen to the legal jobs. But if we zoom out a little bit, the same thing could happen to so many sectors in our economy. And it's not impossible to think that the jobs that we think require human input can be automated and done much more efficiently and cheaply. And so, what does that mean for our economy? So, I think it's really interesting to chew on that for a little while and have our own take.
that take is a bit scary. Um, but there's definitely has been that trend. Like even Dario Amodei of Anthropic has been commenting about, the impact on the job market of AI and the acceleration. I think in a recent interview, he was talking about AI models doubling in intelligence every 4 months, which is a little crazy. Um, and
I wish I
also,
could double intelligence every 4 months.
you and me both, man. Um, One thing that comes to mind as kind of a counterpoint is there was that post got over 7 million views by Zach Shapiro talking about the Claude-powered law firm. And first of all, remarkable that any post about law and AI gets 7
Yeah.
million views. You know, um, there are more. That's more than the attorneys are in the country. So obviously, it hit a nerve. And the thing that really impressed me the most about Zach's post was just really like the practical nature of it. It wasn't like, you know, hype about AI. It was like, look, I run a law firm. It's a very small two-person law firm, and this is how I'm using Claude to basically allow me to do the work that, 10 lawyers would do. And that's exactly the thesis we have, right, at LawDroid is that you could use our tools to magnify your impact.
And isn't Zach coming to the Law Droid conference at the end of April?
I'm not sure if he might be able to attend, but I am going to have him on a
Yeah.
podcast episode. Uh,
Oh, right. Nice. That'll
yeah,
be great.
yeah. So like,
Yeah.
kind of dig down as to where he came up with this stuff.
Yeah. And the idea, of Claude or kind of a co-work model um, being the basis of a law firm, I think Sam Harden also explored that in one of his recent Substacks, and it got a lot of engagement. And I think the idea that a lot of the legal work can be done in this agentic fashion, leaving the humans to do what? Are we the meat bags that go and file papers? We explored this a little bit last time,
Yeah.
but what's left for the human beings to do? And I think we agree that it still depends on us having the empathy, the judgment, the ethics, the morality to make final decisions. If we don't engage in that way, who's going to be running our legal system? It's going to be big corporations, right? Big tech. We've got to be there at least to make sure that the average person has access to these systems, if they are automated, can use them cheaply, if not for free, reduce the friction. This idea of the frictionless, workspace or the frictionless process is a really appealing one. But if all friction's eliminated, who wins and who loses?
And you just did a post about that, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the idea was, if we do enter this world in which all of this stuff is cheap or free, um, how do we, maybe this is an opportunity for us to remake the legal system in a new way where everybody has this frictionless access to legal help, legal information, things they can act on, defend their rights, assert their rights. And it's maybe a more fair world than the one we have now. Apart from the other economic impacts of AI, in this particular case, why do we defend the legal system the way it is now? Who's benefiting from that structure, that system? Maybe we do need to tear it all down and have a way in which this stuff is cheap or free and everyone can act on it.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't, it's not written in stone that the law has to be this way. Like there's nothing that says that lawyers can only act this way. I mean, we are trained on precedent and ha there's a lot of, skills that are passed down in a certain way, but it's really about the result, right? It's really about
Mhm.
the client, not us. It's about getting, them to where they need to get more quickly, more efficiently, and hopefully meet their expectations. We can't always do that, we can't always deliver the legal result that a client wants, but we can choose a different path that gets there in a better way for them, and even one that's more client focused, speaking their language, not be, inaccessible and hard to understand as lawyers.
Yeah. So much of the legal profession is built upon tradition and custom. And a lot of that is, rooted in kind of a white men's dominated viewpoint, right? Bar associations and law schools and, the elitism that comes with the legal profession. That's all customary. That's not required. That's not a necessary element of our legal system. It's just the way it's been. So maybe it is time to rebuild it, and then we can be part of that for sure, right? How do we demystify the law? How do we make it accessible? How do we make sure it's available 24/7 to people when they need to access that information? How do we help them, prepare forms and appear in court and prepare defenses and claims and evidence? All of this stuff really speaks to breaking down the legal system into this frictionless environment, which means it's much lower cost, right? I think lawyers make money on the friction. It's hard, it's complicated. You need us. We can help you explain this to you, and so on.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, one way is like a problematic way to look at it is like creating friction to make money, but at the same time, that hasn't been the case or intention. Like it's been that the actual machinery of the law has been complicated and has been opaque, and that lawyers have been needed to translate that for regular people. And that's not saying that all regular people can afford lawyers, but it is that, I think it's been coming from a place of people, lawyers actually providing a very valuable service in translating that between those two different worlds. But you're right that at this point, it's really not a defensible, position anymore. And I think the big, crisis is really one of identity because we as lawyers have been trained a certain way to believe that we are a certain type of professional, a lawyer, and that's going to change in how we deal with that, how we deal with that change.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if the identity of the lawyer is put into question, what of the law student? What of the judge, and all of the ancillary people who work in the legal profession? What is it that we do every day? how do we serve people, or what's the purpose? And, if the billable hour is any measure of it, then the purpose is just making money, right? That can't be it. Um, it can't be about, Roscoe Pound said 100 years ago, the difference between a job and a profession is a profession seeks to help people, and a job is just to make money. So when do we go back to the law being a profession where we actually serve a greater good than ourselves and our wallets? And this could be the necessary awakening for the legal profession. Either we um, change or we perish. Right? We are just swallowed up by the next version of Claude, which does everything we do cheaper, faster, and better. Right? Is that what we're headed for?
Yeah. So you say you want a revolution, right?
Yeah.
One thing that we both saw earlier today was that there was a bill in New York that's proposing to make it illegal for AI chatbots to provide legal advice. And so you could kind of see a bit of a pushback happening. And, this idea of UPL and preventing legal information and legal advice, that presents a potential roadblock for this kind of
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely. And New York's been interesting. I live in New York, and we had the Upsolve case. It's still going on about whether Upsolve on First Amendment grounds can provide legal advice through a pastor, or somebody similar using their platform. Is that protected speech? And so the UPL question is even further muddied now with this new proposed legislation. I think it's really short-sighted. The purpose of UPL should be, does the product or the vehicle deliver good legal help? Not who's delivering the legal help, right?
Yeah.
Who's delivering it has been a failure, right? Because there aren't enough people who deliver it, and they are expensive, and they guard it and hoard it. And so let's change the framework to not who's doing it and whether they went to law school, but is it good? Does it work? And let that be the measure of UPL, right? Um, the other way to look at UPL is to just say, is this person pretending to be a lawyer? That's the simplest way to look at UPL. If they're saying I'm a lawyer and they're not lawyers, prosecute them. But if they're saying, this is a chatbot built by lawyers and legal professionals, and it's been tested and it's been verified and you can trust it, um, that should be okay, right? Because there's no claim there that we're lawyers, and particularly if it's free, right? What other motive could there be to providing legal help when it's free, other than to help people, right? And I think New York is on the wrong foot here. If legislation like this really passes, New York is a place where there's millions of people who can't get any legal help.
Yeah, I think it's all about the people, and what we're here for. And what we're here for is to help them. And we've actually done a bit of that ourselves through Depositron, which is in New York. And, it provides information, not advice. And it also helps people to, draft a simple letter to a landlord saying, give me back my money. So I think there's also the role of the consumer in that consumers can make intelligent choices about what they choose to do. And so if they see something like Depositron and that's the consumer choice they want to make, understanding that it's not a lawyer, that it's legal information, and it's creating this document at their direction, um, why should we prevent them from using it, right?
Yeah.
So Depositron is out there. It's out there to make a positive difference in the world.
Yeah. And I think the consumer choice issue is a big one because this past week, Anthropic's been in this battle with the Department of War, Department of Defense, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
because they don't want their tech to be used for evil purposes like surveillance and autonomous drones who kill people. And as a result of that fight with the federal government in the United States, Claude is now the number one app on the App Store. And I think yesterday it crashed because so many people were trying to use it, right? Or the other day. And
Yeah.
so consumers are pretty savvy. We can't take them for granted. They know what's going on. They know who the good guys are. They can figure it out pretty quickly. And so let's trust them a little bit more.
Yeah, 100%. I noticed that too yesterday that it was down. So it also makes you think about how critical these, AI models have become to our everyday lives and work is that, you know, they're becoming like a utility. And so when they go
Yeah.
off, when you have brownouts and stuff like that, it's interesting the effect it can have on people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is a utility. It's a commodity. It's a utility. We need to start thinking about it that way.
Well, one thing I want to bring to everybody's attention is that we have the LawDroid AI conference coming up. It's going to be April 28th, April 29th. Um, Panels, workshops, keynote speakers, lots of amazing people. It's the third year. It's free and it's going to be online, virtual, so you can attend from anywhere. And Satish, I'm so happy that you're going to be on it and you're actually going to be opening up day two. And I'm looking forward to hearing what your vision of the future is.
Me too. It's such an important event, and I've watched it from outside for a couple of years, and I'm really excited to be part of it from the inside to help plan it, to see all the work that goes into it, but also to see all the amazing intellectuals and thinkers and doers who are willing to be part of this and really feel this is a strong community. And so I'm really, really excited about it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And we just actually heard this morning that Bridget McCormick is going to be our keynote speaker for day one. And she's amazing. Like the work that she's been doing has been opening minds and doors. And so I'm thrilled to have her on board.
Yeah, that would be great. Can't wait to see what she has to say.
So we're coming to the end and we're going to do our final takes for the month. Satish, what's your final take?
My final take is that there's always something new that's coming down the road, and we can never be complacent. Like every day I wake up excited because something's happened in this space, and it keeps me motivated.
And my final take for this month is that You know, it seems scary sometimes with all the change, but there's definitely a place for us. I think that human judgment cannot be replaced. And it's not because machines can't come to their own decisions. It's because we value humans making decisions because that's what we trust and respect. And we can be held accountable. So I think there'll always be a place for human judgment. So thanks so much for watching the AI Double Take with me and Satish, and we'll see you next month.